But I'm gutting up and getting ready to do that. And things are getting more serious. I mean, what is it? This is not entertaining, sir. I mean, this is funny to you?
I'm not suggesting that it's funny for a moment. I know that you're very, very serious, and I appreciate all of the documentation that you do get to. For people that don't understand, I mean, all you have to do is mention some small thing about the things that you believe, and their eyes glaze over, and they stop listening.
That's right, Marlon. They've been preconditioned that when they hear world government, they start laughing. I mean, I was on the radio this morning locally on a talk station talking about the body scanners and how they record it and how they keep your kid's blood at birth, and they played Crazy Train in the background. They take your kid's blood at birth illegally for a UN database. It's admitted. They're putting in body scanners that record your naked body. It isn't funny. But people are subconsciously afraid of my information. Instead of standing up and saying no to it, it's easier to play Crazy Train or helicopter noises in the background. The states are all in the process of going bankrupt. Foreign banks have stolen over $28 trillion. We now got the numbers from last year. And won't say where the money went. The government's paying to have factories shut down and coal plants and won't let new ones be built. But China can put up dirty ones that our government pays for. They're putting in body scanners where you put your hands up in an act of submission and they scan you. Everyone's being trained to be slaves. But you're crazy if you are against it. It's all peer pressure. They get everybody addicted to Madison Avenue and to buying into whatever the mainstream media says. And if the mainstream media says line your kids up and give them deadly inoculations that the drug zone insert admits can brain damage them, give them Guillain-Barré syndrome, sterilize them, reduce fertility, give them cancer, kill them. It's no big deal. You're supposed to just go along with that. But the good news is this big flu hype didn't go over well. And there's record numbers of people not taking it. The good news is the Copenhagen Treaty that the UN announced was world government blew up in their face. All their fraud and corruption's coming out. The good news is 30-plus states are moving or have already declared 10th Amendment sovereignty to the federal government. The states and the Congress are telling Obama lawsuits are going to get filed by the states against his government takeover of health care, even if he can ram it through. The good news is the people are starting to figure out how the world really works. And, Marlon, I wasn't trying to be mean to you. It's just when somebody says to me, oh, your show is entertaining, because I get emails like that, and people on the street go, I don't agree with a lot of what you say, but your show is sure entertaining. That's like saying watching a car wreck and somebody flopping around with their arm chopped off is entertaining. This is not entertaining, sir. It's not entertaining having the mainstream media demonize me and having people death threaten me. It's not entertaining to know what we're up against and to force myself to stand up and go up against it. If you had any idea just how serious this was, you wouldn't even have that in your repertoire. And you know what? It's not my fault and it's not your fault, Marlon, if you try to wake up people and they laugh at you. That's their problem. That's why their standard of living is dropping. You know, I saw this weekend IMF statistics about how this country was, 34% of global gross domestic product and is now 22% of global domestic product, global GDP, or global domestic product. The calculation of the U.S. was 34, 35. Now it's 22, 23. In fact, I printed that article at home. I want to say it was Wall Street Journal this weekend, and I don't have it in front of me. Guys, Google IMF says U.S. gross domestic product drops. That should bring it up. I believe from memory it's 22% from 34 or 35. But let's get the actual numbers. You think that's funny? I know you don't think it's funny, Marlon. But when people laugh at us, that's because they're intimidated. They're scared. Deep down, they know something's wrong. And they want to feel elitist. They want to feel like they're establishment. And so TV and the culture has told them, laugh at somebody who talks about global government. Laugh at somebody that talks about global corruption. You don't have a responsibility. Just laugh at it. That's the doctrine of slaves. That's the modus operandi of slaves. Now, here's the deal. I took 2 calls in that segment. I want to take 10 calls before this hour ends. That gives each caller about a minute and a half. Joe, Jack, Matthew, Steve, Nick, and others. Toll-free number to join us, 1-800-259-9231. I do have a bunch of news I haven't even gotten to yet coming up in the next hour and a host of issues on how children in the U.S. and England can't even talk now. I mean, our society's falling apart. Before I go any further, I want to thank some of the sponsors today that have made this radio broadcast possible. The news website's possible. My filmmaking possible. It is the advertising that funds the Lock, Stock, and Barrel, along with PrisonPlanet.tv memberships, and I want to thank all of you for supporting our sponsors. One of the sponsors I want to thank is eFoodsDirect.com. That's the letter E, FoodsDirect.com. Incredible new website. It was great before. All these videos, non-GMO, non-hybrid, organic food lines, pre-made food lines, incredibly tasty like potatoes gratin, you name it. It's all there at eFoodsDirect.com. You'll never stand in the bread line if you have your own bread. The globalists want you dependent on them. They want you bankrupt. They want you under their control. I have storable food. Does that mean I'll end up using it? I can eat it if I don't. It lasts more than 10 years. A lot more than 10 if it's in climate control. My stuff's in the garage and attic. I got firearms. Does that mean I may have to use them? Hopefully not, but I got them. And I know how to use them. They're in well-oiled working condition. The point is you need to go to eFoodsDirect.com and get high-quality storable foods today. 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633. One other sponsor I want to tell you about is EcolaBlue.com. They've got their new Ecola Blue 30 out, discounted out of the gates. They have the classic Ecola Blue 28, grabs upwards of 7.5 gallons out of the air a day, puts it through 7 filters. The Ecola Blue 30 even more. Reverse osmosis, carbon, UV, stores it in stainless steel tanks. Looks like a water cooler without the water cooler top on it. Find out more at EcolaBlue.com. That's ECOLOBLUE.com. Or give them a call at 800-691-6043, 800-691-6043, EcolaBlue.com. Ladies and gentlemen, great folks, great sponsors, great product that I was using. That's why I reached out to them. Turned out they were fans. It was a match made in heaven, EcolaBlue.com. Okay, back to your calls. Joe in California, go ahead.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your efforts and your courage. There's a couple of things I'd like to touch on quickly. One of them, Vietnam, Cambodia, Grunt 6970. Anyway, I feel so grateful to hear you. I stumbled serendipitously upon the martial law 9/11 rise of the police state. That's how I found you. Thank the Lord I found you. And anyway, it's also, I feel gratified that what I knew back then, that things weren't right behind the scenes, and you're exposing it. It's so great. The other thing, the last thing I would like to touch on, I've heard all my life about carbon monoxide, CO, being poison, but now CO2 is poison, which we exhale and the plants inhale. Well, how come nobody's ever talked about, well, we should quit making carbonated beverages because that's CO2, and I don't know if that's...
Well, actually, governments are moving to tax it because of that. Almost everything puts off CO2. That's why they chose it. They don't want to deal with real toxic waste or genetic engineering or things that can and are causing problems. They want something that allows them to selectively control industry. They're monopoly capitalists. They're not free market. They use government to shut down their competition. Joe?
Okay. Well, it's been nice chatting with you live. I've listened to you ever since, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and I really do appreciate and enjoy your program, and it's very enlightening, and it's so hard to get people to get their heads out of the sand because they're scared, I guess. I find that fear and greed are two of the biggest human motivators.
They've been raised to be lazy and to not think of themselves as leaders. They've been raised to just go through life and I mean intellectually lazy. You know, a lot of them are hardworking. They have to understand that freedom isn't free. People better do the research. They better get involved. Joe, good to hear from you. Jack in California. You're on the air, Jack.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good, sir.
I wanted to talk to you about a few things. First off, huge fan. And like everyone else, you know, I've been noticing more and more people waking up all the time, and it's great to see. And especially in the San Francisco area around where I live, you see billboards everywhere. You know, go get vaccinated. Only you can prevent H1N1, you know, and I'll talk to people
now
about
they've
it,
shifted gears to say you've got to take it or you'll infect others, when if you've supposedly had the shot, you're protected from the idiots that don't want to take the mercury cancer virus shot. So, again, it's all lies. So now Dr. Dean Edell and others, who, by the way, I want to get back on to debate him, just tell him I want to have him on to discuss the flu shot and other things. We've had him on before. I've heard him on air say, arrest anyone that doesn't take it. Sue anyone that doesn't take it, because you're going to infect others with the deadly weapon of H1N1. It's an asinine lie.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.